We share the government's ambition around local growth, but with Companies House reporting the highest levels of business closures in 20 years, will the government commit to publishing an assessment of the impact their national insurance rises, business rate rises and changes to business property relief are having on these local growth plans?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The work, I have no doubt that the opposition will have all the information they need available to scrutinise the government of the day, and we always do that in full transparency. What I won't, I'm afraid, accept is that somehow the sand that our economy was built on for the previous 4 years by the Honourable Gentleman, by the Secretary of State, somehow is this government's failure. The reality is that the Honourable Gentleman know exactly as we do that we're fixing the mess that we left, and they can, of course, they will have the chance to oppose along the way, but the reality is we're going to get on with delivering for the British people. They're going to get on with carping from the sideline, and I know where I'd rather be.
Minister David Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. St Mungo's have reported a 27% rise in rough sleeping in London under this government compared to the same period under the last government. Will this government commit to removing the ring fences that they've introduced to the homelessness grant, heeding councils' calls to give them back the flexibility they need to get rough sleepers and homeless households into accommodation and avoid the cost chunks they impose onto council taxpayers?
Minister.
I thank the Shadow Minister for his question. The fact is that this government is investing record amounts of funding to tackle the root causes, and that requires action on prevention. And we are working with councils to make sure that we address those underlying causes. And the reality is we've inherited a mess, Mr. Speaker. Record levels and rough sleeping, and we are determined to get a grip on that. That means action on prevention as well as addressing the impact of homelessness and rough sleeping, and that's what we're determined to do.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. One of the strategies that councils use to address homelessness is to move homeless households elsewhere in the country. And this can be an appropriate response, but needs to be done in consultation with the receiving authority. So does my honourable friend share my concern that Labour-led Rushmore Council is using the standards procedure to attack its own members for bringing this legitimate matter of concern to public attention?
Minister.
I thank the Shadow Minister. He will be aware that the lack of shortage in housing is driving out of area placements. On his specific example, I'm very happy to come back to him, but the Deputy Prime Minister has written to councils setting out their responsibilities, and that out-of-area placements should be a last resort, and we will continue to work with councils to make sure that we support them as they deal with the challenge of the underlying problem, which is around housing shortage and the crisis that's been left behind, and we are determined to make sure we get a grip by providing that support that they need with funding, as well as the 1.5 million homes that this government is determined to build.